The pandemic has forced us to think about new ways to do many, many things in our lives. Right now, millions of parents are trying to determine whether they should send their kids back to school, whether they should keep them at home, and what else they can do. But are we really thinking about new ways to do old things, or are we trying to do the same old thing with school and just have it look slightly differently because of the pandemic? I think that the pandemic is an opportunity for us to really look at school and ask the question, does the structure of the current education system meet the needs of our children? Does it meet the needs of our society? Does it meet the needs of the companies who are going to employ people? I think the short answer is no, it really doesn't. There are so many kids who just don't fit the current education model. That is partly because, for some bizarre reason, even though we understand that to really learn, you have to be interested in something, we are still running the factory education model, trying to produce good, compliant workers instead of free thinking, collaborating, problem solving people. So perhaps COVID is an opportunity for us to not just say, how do we send our kids back to school as usual, but to say, how do we do something very different in order to educate our children more fully? Unschoolingschool.com is about answering that question. We have created a resource center and a community place to help parents look at a different option, to help kids decide to become free learners, people that are going to take charge of their own learning and be responsible for what that learning looks like. To use the resources of the schools, because schools have wonderful resources. They're full of equipment and tools and books and teachers that love kids. But maybe it's time that we started saying, let's use those resources in a different way. Let's use them in the service of children, in the service of the needs that kids have, and at their request and the way that they think would work for them, as opposed to the system that we currently have, which is that everybody's supposed to fit the model that is there, that we should somehow only have kids together with their own age group, that everybody has to be assessed and tested, that everybody needs the same curriculum at the same time. These ideas, frankly, are nonsense. They make no sense. They are nonsense. What we know about kids and about learning and the brain has not been incorporated into the education system. And one of the main things that we know is that kids are born to learn. It is our natural way of succeeding and growing and changing as a society. We are born to learn. We are driven biologically as children to figure out how do we succeed into the society, into the community in which we're born. So what we need to ask schools, really demand schools do, is transition to a model that allows kids to take responsibility for their own education and provides the resources and the tools that the child needs to do that. So during the pandemic, that could look like kids going back to school if it's safe, but choosing to use the resources in a different way. That kids being connected to a school, but staying mostly at home and still following some activities online if that's what they want to do. It's not about pulling kids out of school and saying that there is no place for it. It's about changing how we look at school, looking at it as a resource center. And that's what we've provided on unschoolingschool.com, our tools and resources and communities to help parents and kids do just that.